Okay.
We're going.
All right. Hey guys, I just wanted to welcome you to our monthly team call. I know some of you will be hopping on in just a few minutes and everything, but I wanted to get started right away. We have a pretty cool call tonight, but we are in the midst of December and you guys are rocking it with your businesses. So it's been a great year. I can't even believe that we're coming to the end of 2016 and heading into 2017. So, and I know many of you are finishing quarter fours. It's been awesome to see everyone finishing up that program and seeing the results and everything like that. I do have a couple of rank advancements that we have this month. I want to mention some people. So we have Ashley Johnson, who rank advanced to Emerald, Bethany Gladu, I hope I'm saying that right, rank advanced to Emerald, and Ellie Price, rank advanced to Ruby. And I also want to give a shout out to Lisa Klein for getting Success Club 5 All-Star Legend. Yay! I see you, Lisa. So congrats to all you guys. Keep up the great work. End this year solid, and let's start out 2017 with a bang. But tonight we have a really cool speaker tonight. Now, Meredith, please say your last name. I want to make sure I'm saying it correctly. Is it Masony? Masony? Okay, I want to make sure. Most of you, I think, have seen her virtually on social media with her awesome videos. But if you have not, that's how I came to get to know who she was, by just watching these great videos about momhood. And I started just hopping onto some of her live. She has these great live feeds on Monday night. She's got, is it Mimosa Monday, right? Mimosa Monday. And
I stream 5 days a week. But
yes. She's got some awesome things, and it's so great to see her with her friends and the camaraderie and everything, and just being honest about mommyhood and being a mompreneur and all the trials that we face. So she's also just written an amazing book called Scoop the Poop, and it's on Amazon, so you guys have to check that out. But without further ado, Meredith, we're so excited to have you, so please go right ahead and tell us. I'd love to know your story and where you're headed.
So it's so funny. I'm sitting here in my jams after putting my kids to bed, but this all started back in 2014. I was kind of stuck in a rut. I was unhappy in my professional life. I felt guilty about that, but because I was a teacher, and as a teacher, you should probably not feel bad about the fact that you're helping children. But it's not that I didn't enjoy the kids or enjoy what I was doing, but it wasn't the fit for me. It wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. And so I was kind of super angsty about what I was supposed to be doing, and I started to feel out of place, and there was a lot of fighting with my husband, because my husband was trying to figure out why I was unhappy, because he's like, you've got us, you've got the kids, we live in a nice house, like, what's wrong with you? Like, get out of this funk. And I was like, I'm sorry, but it's not you, it's not the kids, it's nothing around us, but I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And so, there was a lot of friction. There was a lot of fighting. There was a lot of upset. And so I decided that I was going to try and figure out what was wrong. And so I worked from home, which some of you guys do if you're working from home at that point, because I was teaching, but I was teaching online. And so I was working from home, the kids, everything piles up constantly. If you work from home, everybody assumes you're able to stay on top of everything. But now you work from home, so not only are you working all the time, but you're doing laundry and you're doing dishes and you're chasing kids and you're all over the place, and so it never, ever, ever stops. And when you work from home, it's hard to say, well, I'm done working now, and leave, because every 2 seconds you come back into the office for whatever it is that you're supposed to be doing, and so there's no separation. And so my husband was like, figure out what you need to do to make yourself happy, because you're driving me nuts and I can't stand you. So I decided that I was going to join a gym. And so I joined a CrossFit, and I started CrossFitting like a crazy person. I was going 4 or 5 days a week. I was in like the best shape of my life. I was like, after 3 kids, I couldn't believe I was getting back into the size 5 jeans and the this and that. And I was like, man, I look good. Like, I can't even believe how good I look, you know? So I'm just working out and I'm thinking everything is great. Well, all of a sudden, I get really sick, like really, really sick. Like my hair is falling out. I'm losing weight. I'm throwing up. I couldn't sleep laying down. Had to sit up to go to bed because the heartburn was so bad. I go to this doctor like 3 times and he keeps telling me there's nothing wrong with you. You're in perfect health. Look at how great you look. Like, don't complain. You know, basically telling me you're a mom, you're overwhelmed. There's obviously nothing wrong with you. You know, even pushing like antidepressant meds, which I've used in the past, like when things got overwhelming. But I was like, no, I'm physically ill. There's something wrong with me. So finally, I had gone in the 3rd time after they changed my meds, and I was like, I need you to scope me because I'm sick. And so he scopes me. He finds a lump. He tells me that he needs to do a more diagnostic test, sends me to a hospital, puts me under, checks me out. Before I even wake up from anesthesia, comes out and tells my husband, we found a tumor in your wife's esophagus. Don't know if it's cancer. I don't deal with this. Kind of like washes his hands of me after telling me I'm like the healthiest person he's ever met. And so he calls me back like that night and he's like, I'd give it 6 months, wait it out. You're young, you know, it could be nothing. So I'm like, well, could it be cancer? And he's like, well, yeah. And I'm like, would you tell your wife to wait 6 months with a tumor in her chest? And he's like, well, I would see an oncologist. So, of course, at that point, I've already started planning my funeral. I've already started planning on finding a wife for my husband. I'm like on Match.com. I'm like, okay, well, do you want a blonde? Like, do you want somebody with breasts this time? Maybe, you know. So I'm like getting his requests, like gymnast, you know, what's your flavor? So I'm doing all of this. And of course, he's like telling me, please shut up. Nobody's dying. And I'm like, well, I'm dying. So let me take notes as to what it is that you want. Perhaps a cook this time because I burn everything. And of course, my default is to tell a joke because I get super uncomfortable and then I just, you know, have to laugh. So we finally get into an oncologist. I got really lucky, and somebody who was from Moffitt, which is a massive cancer center, moved to my tiny little neighborhood and becomes this like massive surgeon in our area. I'm the 2nd surgery on his table. He basically comes in and he's like, I'll give you 2 weeks to get your affairs in order. If this is cancer, it's 5% survival rate. If it's not, it could be X, Y, Z. You could, you know, eat through a bag the rest of your life. You could blah, 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 you know, give you the whole gamut of things. So I leave there crying, completely a wreck. I'm planning my funeral. I'm doing all of these things. So we had about 2 to 3 weeks where we just did a lot of staring at each other and like trying to figure out like, if this is it, like, what are we actually going to do? Like talking will and estate and blah, blah, blah. Like we had an estate, you know, like all of these things. Like, so I finally I looked at myself and I said, if I die, if I go in there and I wake up and they say, there's nothing we could do, we're so sorry. I was okay with saying goodbye to my kids. I was okay saying goodbye to my husband. I was not okay saying goodbye to myself because I had not done the things I wanted to do professionally or personally at that level. So with that being said, I go in, I beg for the Valium and tell them to please put me to sleep because I was going to rip IVs out because I was not ready to face what was coming. And I get woken up 6 hours later to my husband who says, it's not cancer. And I just look at him. I've still got tubes down my throat. I'm, you know, like, I remember opening my eyes. I remember hearing it's not cancer and just falling back to sleep. I wasn't up for like 2 days after that because they cut me from here all the way through my belly button, cracked my chest, took everything out, sawed some stuff in half, put everything back in, reconnected it upside down and sideways. And I sent me home about 6 days later and then, you know, home health and blah, 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 and whatever. So that was August. October of that year, I said, I could have died. I got to do something. What am I going to do? And I had a couple of things that I always wanted to do. I wanted to write. I wanted to be on Saturday Night Live. And I wanted to be super cool like Barbara Walters, which no kid when they're 8 years old is like, I want to be Barbara Walters when I grow up. Well, I did. So I figured out what that mix kind of looked like. And I figured out how to do that from being at home, right? Because I was like, I have to be at home. I have to be accessible to my kids, and I still have to work. So I continued to work online as a teacher, and I started the blog. So everything I did was pretty much written word at that point, but I started trying to figure out how to get myself published, what I had to do to build my Facebook business, which was making no money, just spending money. All I was doing was spending money because nobody wants to pay you when you first start out. Everybody's like, oh yeah, your writing is great, but we don't pay. We'll give you, we'll feature you. And it's like, I want money. I don't want to be, I want money. I need actual dollars to help pay my light bill. So you work really, really, really hard. You spend a lot of time crying. You spend a lot of time screaming and fighting, and you get super annoyed and anxious because you put in all of this work and energy and effort, and the kids still need you, and your husband still needs you, and your job still needs you, and apparently dishes have to be done, and laundry has to be done, and nobody shows up to do those things, so you have to do them. So I did a lot of working, crying, feeling sorry for myself, throwing weekly pity parties, losing my crap on my kids because you're so tired and you don't sleep and your brain never shuts off. And so I did this cycle for quite some time. It took 8 months to get published in a big publication. It took 8 months to get paid in Hot Pockets. That was my first paying gig. Nestle paid me in freaking Hot Pockets. All I wanted was $50. I was like, I charge $50 a post, and they were like, we don't pay. You get Hot Pockets. And so the kids were really excited because I did not purchase Hot Pockets, but 8 bags of Hot Pockets showed up at the door, and we ate hickory ham Hot Pockets for like a month. They're the grossest things ever. My kids loved them, okay? Because after my surgery, we went mainly organic, and we did like all grass-fed everything. So they were like, we want Hot Pockets, because I wouldn't give them anything, because I was told that my tumor was most likely, like my surgeon was 99% that it was environmental causes, which was like, okay, you know, so we totally like started to clean up our act. And so anyway, I get paid in these wonderful golden Hot Pockets. And so I start to plug away, and I am literally like submitting, I'm submitting to like Huffington Post all the time, and Pop Sugar all the time, and Scary Mommy, and Babble. And so I'm finally getting in, and I'm getting published, and I start to get picked up for $50 a piece, $75 a piece, here and there, and you plug away. Well, that also takes a toll on you because you're constantly working one job. You're constantly giving all your energy and effort to the thing you really like to do, which was right for me. And everything just kind of plateaued. And so I got to the mark where I'd gone viral a couple of times, but I kind of went up. I was at, nobody likes my page. 1,000 people like my page. 3,000 people like my page, and it just stayed. And it was just like, it was like November, December, January, February. And in between January and February, I quit. I was like, I'm out. I don't want to do this anymore. Nobody likes me. I'm so sad and disheveled. We had the biggest fight of our, you know, I don't know how long we'd been married, 12 years at that point, whatever, 13, I don't know. We'd been married long enough, but it was a really ugly, like, firework fight. And so I was like, I'm out, I'm done. I quit. So I quit for a total of like 14 days because then I just started secretly sneaking back into the office to write things and come up with ideas for stuff because I'm also terrible at quitting. So I do all of this. And the reason I started this whole thing in the first place was because I felt that community was lacking for women. I felt that women were basically told after you have a kid and you have a baby, you should just shut up and be happy with where you are, and you kind of go with it. And like, that's your position and that's your spot. I've never really been soft-spoken. I've always been opinionated, but I was kind of tired of feeling judged and overwhelmed. And I kind of was like, I need this because I need people to understand how I feel right now, because I know there are people out there, there are women out there who feel just like me, but they're also being told to shut up and be quiet and be happy with where you are. And so I kind of, in January, February, during my I quit phase, which my husband thought was a midlife crisis, he informed me that I was having a midlife crisis. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm not. And he's like, I'm pretty sure you are. And so we have this big blowout about whether or not I'm actually having a midlife crisis. And I had to kindly and firmly let him know that this had nothing to do with him. It's not about you, it's about me. And so I posted this article called "It's Not a Crisis, It's a Quest," and got the most negative, awful feedback I've ever gotten from posting something, as well as the most beautiful, emotional, wonderful. So all of these men attacked me. All of these women were like, oh my God, that's my story, that's my life. And I was like, okay, I think I've finally found what I actually want to be doing, which is talking about what women should be doing, where we should be going, and how we need to be perceived and understood, because a lot of people just don't get it. And you don't have to choose between family and career and chasing a dream. You get to do all of those things. Why? Because we're women and we can. And if anybody on the planet can do all of these things at once, it's women. We will dominate and persevere and survive, not the men. The women will, because we are the strongest ones on the planet. We birth them, we raise them, and we shove them off. That's what we do, okay? So after I decided to quit and run away, I kind of regrouped and I was like, what part of this is missing for me? What am I doing wrong that I'm not able to grab people's attention and shake them and say, pay attention to this, this is good stuff. So I had started doing stand-up on and off, which I really enjoyed. The problem with stand-up comedy, you're in a bar and husbands don't like wives in bars with men late at night. So we have another big fight. And that big fight leads to, I need you to not be in bars with men at late night times. So I said, okay, how do I bring, because I got really great reactions from stand-up, which I wasn't expecting because I had never tried it, but I loved it. It was great. So I took stand-up comedy, I took my writing skills, if you will, and I took my desire to spread a message, which was, we can be strong and independent and focused and chase dreams and be moms and wives and women and all of these things. And I was like, okay, let's put this together. So how do we do that? We do that. I'm trying to look for the word. My catalyst was in video, because I said, how do I do this? And I have to be at home because I'm not supposed to be carousing in bars, which I get, like I am married. I probably shouldn't be picking up men in bars. So I shift to video. And so I start making videos of my ridiculous rants where I just spew things. And I take my MacBook and I decide I'm going to shoot video. I don't know how to edit. I don't know how to film. I have no idea what I'm doing. I had really only typed emails and papers on this thing prior to that. And so I say, nah, I'm going to make video. So I start to shoot videos. Well, they do okay. People start watching them. I get some views. I'm like, oh my gosh, 300 people watched this today. Like, watch out. I'm kind of a big deal. And my husband's like, okay, you're awesome. So this starts to go and it starts to pick up. And in May, I'll never forget it. He was gone on a golf trip. I had had enough. Mother's Day was coming up, and Mother's Day sucks, okay? Because nobody really cares that it's Mother's Day. You're going to get a card and some crappy noodle jewelry, and you're still going to have to do the dishes and clean and cook and take care of everybody and wipe butts. And you're not going to get to do what I think every mom wants to do on Mother's Day, which is sit down and be left alone. Because if I have to work 364 days, I want one day off. I only want one. I don't even take off on my birthday. So just let me have Mother's Day. So he was gone. I was pissed because he was trying to give me some BS about how he may not make it back on Sunday because he was golfing and he was with his buddies. And I was like, I swear to you, if you do not come home on Mother's Day with a bottle of champagne to make me mimosas all day long, I will gut you like a fish. And so I make this video about what moms actually want for Mother's Day. And it's this rant about how I want nobody to talk to me and I want a mimosa and I want blah, 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 and I want a mimosa and blah, blah, blah. And so it was like a Thursday and I post this thing and I call him up and I'm like, my video has been up for like an hour and 10,000 people watched it. And he's like, are you serious? And I'm like, I know, it's super weird. Usually I have like 1,000 maybe in an hour. We had 10,000 views. So he's like, okay, that's really good. So then like a couple hours later, I'm like, 30,000 people watched this video. Like, I don't know what happened. I don't know who shared it. I don't know what's going on. So we go to bed that night. He's not here, but I've got my besties over and we're talking and they were like, how funny would it be if this thing went viral? So we're like Googling like, what does it mean to go viral? How many do you need? And it's like, you need 1 million views in 24 hours. So I was like, all right, that's kind of cool. So we wake up the next morning to 1.5 million views. So I was like, holy crap, we did it in under 24 hours. This is crazy. What is it to go super viral? So we're like all looking or whatever, and it's 5 million views within 72 hours. Well, we hit with the Mother's Day video, I think we hit 10 million views within 3 days or something crazy. The news stations are calling. I'm getting hate mail from men about why I'm the worst mother and wife on the planet. Everybody's sharing this thing out. It's going crazy. It's all over the place. I started that Thursday with 3,000 followers. I ended the week. No, 60,000. 60,000 followers within like 4 days. So I go from 3,000 for like a year to within a week, 60,000 people. So now I have a Facebook page with 60,000 people and I have to figure out what I'm supposed to do now that all these people are here. Because they're messaging me and they're emailing me and they're telling me why this is the funniest thing they've ever seen. And they're also telling me why I should be backed over by a car because I'm the worst person on the planet. So you've got like the worst people on the internet and the nicest people on the internet all together on this tiny little page. Mind you, I have no business sense. I have no idea what I'm doing outside of creating content that I've been working on. I have no ability to be organized or have a thought process that is longer than that of my 3-year-old at the time. And I've now been given 60,000 people that I have to kind of entertain and whatever. So that's when it got super interesting. And I realized that I was doing this all wrong and backwards. And I had to actually start paying attention to scheduling times and staying on top of things and having a mission, vision, and goal, which I had none of. And my husband had been telling me for 1.5 years, maybe if you write a mission statement, you'll know what you want to be when you grow up. Because he thinks he's hysterical. And I'm like, you're not the funny one. And so then he's logical and smart. And I should have had a mission, vision, and statement. And I did not. And so we start to really hammer out what it is that this is supposed to look like and who the target audience is. Obviously moms like me in this specific age range and blah, blah, blah. I think my age range is 24 to 35, millennial moms, yada, yada. So I start to get super focused on what I'm supposed to be doing. He starts helping me out and we start trucking along and I just start creating massive amounts of content. But I'm talking like 2-3 videos a week. I'm just hammering away and I'm staying up until 2-3 in the morning and I'm editing and I'm doing all of this stuff and it just doesn't stop. And so then you just start to get super exhausted because you're like, how am I supposed to keep up with this? Because it's 60,000, then it's 80,000, then it's 100,000, then you have another big video, and now you've got 150,000, and it just starts to snowball and it goes like crazy. And so I had to listen. Uh-oh. I lost the middle picture. Is everybody still here? Okay. So that wasn't the point of this. Okay. So as the business manager chirps in my ear to tell me what I'm supposed to be doing, which he's very good at, and I love him. But anyway, so it compiles very quickly, and it's very easy to get lost and feel overwhelmed constantly. And when you're starting a business and when you're doing the things that you guys are doing, which is the same stuff that I'm doing, it's easy to feel like I can't do this anymore, or I need a break, or what am I supposed to do at this point? Because I just feel like I'm a shell of a human being and I don't know what to do. And I had the moment where I was sitting, I had just done the man cold video, which went crazy, and I think had 24 million views in 2 days or something ridiculous. Kathy Lee and Hoda shared it out. That went crazy. A couple of TV shows showed it, and blah, blah, blah. And it was this and there. And I was like frazzled and shaking. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And my dog takes a crap on my floor mat. And I was on the 18th load of laundry going back and forth to the laundry room. And I walk out and I see this steamy pile of dog poo. And that was my breaking point. I sit down on the floor. I'm sobbing. I'm unbelievably I couldn't, the ugly cry that you can't control, because everything had kind of just built up to that point where I was just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't understand how I'm supposed to figure all of this stuff out on my own. I asked for all of this. Now I have it. I don't know what to do with it. And I grab my phone, because what I do all the time in that situation is I record stuff, because I know that there's something that is going on here, and I start recording it and I'm crying. And I'm saying, it's always the funny stuff with me, and I'm always talking about humorous things, but it's okay to feel this way. It's okay to be normal and cry and have a breakdown, meltdown, disgusting, awful moment. But I realize that this is actually just poop that I'm crying over. It's just a physical pile of stinky poop. I have to scoop it. I have to pick this up. It's my job. I'm here. I'm in front of this, and I have to scoop the poop. So as I'm going through all of this, and I explained to my husband why I was crying like a maniac while he was at work, because he notices, he gets an alert when I'm on, and he's like, you look like a moron. Why were you crying in front of a pile of poop? And I said, no, this was good. I felt better afterwards. And it was actually, I recorded this, put the video up, and 50,000 people watched it within 15 minutes. And they were all messaging me saying, that's okay. I've been there. We all know how that goes. It's poop, but poop sucks, and blah, blah, blah. So I'm talking to him later that week, and I said, look, I know you get really upset when I tell you that I have something to do, but I have to do something. And he's like, oh my God, what do you have to do now? And I'm like, well, I kind of have to write a book now. And he's like, no, you're not writing a book. I'm not doing anything else with you. I can't take this anymore. And I said, no, I got to write a book. Okay. And we're going to call the book Scoop the Poop. And so I go off on this tangent about how now I'm going to write a book, because I've done all of these other things. Everything is still going on up here. But now I'm going to write a book. So I start writing the book, and I start putting the pieces together about what that actually means and why I'm doing it. And it's because everything that I talked about before, moms need to know that they're normal. It's okay to feel this way. We are overwhelmed because we're overwhelmed. We're doing 9 million different things, and we have to be able to focus and take care of everybody's needs. And that's a really, really hard thing to do. So whether it's your own small business at home that you're trying to figure out, or just figuring out how to take care of the kids and the house, that's a full-time job. Stay-at-home mom is a badge of honor. It's a full-time freaking job. Then when you add in other opportunities and jobs that you take on, now you're just working 2 jobs. Then you decide, oh, I like to do these things as well. Now you've got 3 jobs. Your husband is your 4th job. You got dogs, you got cats, you got animals. 5, 6, 7, 8. What women do is so amazing that I feel like it should be highlighted and discussed, and it should be accepted as a positive, not as a negative. I hate when I meet a mom and they're like, oh, I'm just a stay-at-home mom. I'm like, oh, you're doing the hardest job on the planet? That's awesome. Because it is, okay? Then you add in all this other stuff, and you're just become a superhero. So I wrote Scoop the Poop to let everybody know you're normal. This is great. You are enough. You are doing the best job you can possibly do. And guess what? You got up and you did it again today. Kudos to you. You do deserve a damn medal. I fully believe that and firmly believe it. Why? Because I've lived this long enough to know the blood, the sweat, the tears, the bed sheets that you change at 2 a.m. because your kid's peeing. I mean, I have a 6-year-old autistic child who may never potty train. I mean, I'm really crossing my fingers at some point this happens, but what do you do at 2 a.m. when he comes in and he's peed the bed? You get up and you change the sheets. Odds are you've only been asleep for 15 minutes anyway, so you get up and you do it. You scoop that poop, you go back to bed, and you get up and you do it all over again. That's what we all do. It's not a competition. It's life. And you are enough and you are okay. So what the book has done for me has basically given me a way to talk to women and tell my story. But I knew that my story was like so many others' story that I knew we were going to connect. Then I got hooked up with, in between all of this, I got hooked up with another blog called Joy of Mom. And Joy of Mom is starting a digital television network. And they're basically brought me on as a content creator. I'm a content producer for a digital network now. And I find other talent and I find other moms just like us that fit into these verticals that deliver entertainment, health and fitness, foodies, DIYs, all of these other things. I coordinate with them. And then I go and I meet with Vicky, who's the owner of that blog and business, who she's been doing it for 25 years. So she knows the struggle. And we collaborate on different projects and do different things. That's also caused me to travel, which has caused an upset in the home because the kids don't like when I leave. And it's always a dramatic production. There's a lot of FaceTiming and a lot of tears. But they also know that mommy has to do this because this is part of what feeds mommy's soul. And that's important for our kids to know because they need to understand that what we're doing is to benefit the family. We're not selfishly chasing a dream because we need to be something. It's not I, it's we, it's the entire family unit. That's why moms work so hard, because it benefits every other member of the family. I firmly believe that. Nobody would work as hard. Moms are the hardest working species out there. Okay. Like show me another person who works harder than a mom. You won't, because we have like tons of grit and guts and that's what you need to survive. But small business owners, I think the reason that they fall off or that there's a decline, because we all have that I quit, I can't do this anymore thing. Like that happens. It's part of being a human. Like, it becomes too heavy. If you scoop your poop, and I use this and I literally, if you scoop your poop and you realize how to pick your battles, we would have less mompreneurs quit because you can realize what's actually yours to scoop and what's not yours to scoop. I don't scoop my parents' poop anymore. That's my mom and dad's job, and I can't scoop the fact that they don't agree with the lifestyle that I have. They don't agree with the message, particularly my father doesn't agree with the message per se that I'm spewing or whatever he wants, but that's not mine to scoop any longer. Like, I'm a 36-year-old woman. Sorry, Dad. Like, this is what I have to do now. Okay. Like, you can't ground me. I live in my own house. I don't ask you to pay my bills. I can't scoop it. Next, your kids' poop. You got to pick the battles with your kids as to what you're going to scoop. Your business poop. How much of it is yours? How much of it is on clients or this or that? Like, what can you focus on at that moment in time that you can get done and get hammered out and take care of? If you can't do it today because of whatever reason, you can't scoop that right now in this moment in time. You got to go to the next thing. What's next? What's next? So I always try to figure out, and as moms, this is the first time I sat today. I'm going to assume this is the first time you sat today because you constantly go from one thing to the next. So you have to figure out what can be scooped, what can move on, and how can we do it to the umpteenth level, next. It's important that we remember to take care of ourselves because we forget in that process. And so that's the other reason I started doing these web shows in the evening for kind of like me time, for me to be with my community. It's important that we remember to carve out that family time as well, because you can get lost inside of being the mompreneur and forget the importance of that. And you're like, oh my gosh, I don't think I signed my kids' agenda at all this week. And then you go and you sign like 7 rows 7 times in a row because you're like, oh crap, I totally forgot. So I physically have to schedule things in to remember to do them because we get so overwhelmed. So pick your battles, scoop your poop, remember the things that are so utterly important to do, because it's, you know, we're doing so many other things, it's easy to forget. But if you want to do it, whatever it is whatever your voice is telling you, whatever's inside here screaming at you, if you shut up for 2 seconds, which I have a super problem doing, I'm never quiet. If you're quiet for 2 seconds and you listen, you can do whatever that voice tells you to do. I promise you, because I didn't listen to that voice for the longest time. After I had my kids, I don't think I listened to that voice until my kids were 7 or 8 years old, my oldest. I just stuffed it down, told it to shut up, said, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it. Yes, you can, because you don't have to give up family or your kids or your spouse. You just have to figure out how to manage it, but you can do it. You can do whatever you want. I figured out at 34 that I could work really, really, really hard and start to juggle things and make my dreams start to come true. And I'm now sitting, after doing these things simultaneously for over 2.5 years, I quit my job, wrote a resignation letter, quit my job, became a digital television content creator. I'm pretty sure they made that title up, but I don't care. Became that, wrote a freaking book. Where's my book? Super proud of this baby. Wrote my book where I'm physically scooping poop on the cover. Wrote a book with typos, by the way, that I found after the fact. I'm dyslexic and grammatically incorrect constantly. Wrote this book, and I am now in and out of flying all over the place to create content, do ad campaigns for people, because I believe the message that I have, that I hold, should be shared, because nobody shared it with me when I got married and became a mom. It was like some weird club, and you weren't allowed in, and you had to feel like you were some weird, terrible outsider parent, mom, wife. And I decided that that was BS. And I had to share my message. And I could say now, if something were to happen, that I gave every ounce of effort I have to chasing. And I'm good with that. I'm not done. I've barely begun. But I know in my heart that I gave every ounce, and I will continue to do that, because I'm better at scooping my poop and prioritizing. Because I do have help. You do have to have support. You do have to have people that you can rely on. You do have to have people you can bounce ideas off of. Some are better than others.
That's my unsigned copy of my book.
All right. I'm going to sign your book. Okay. So the point is, if you want to do this, if you really want to do this, I guarantee you can be a success at it. I guarantee you I would put money on the table if I had any. I've spent all mine on video equipment and all sorts of stuff that I need. But at some point, this business shall be successful and make money. I'll let you know when that happens. But I guarantee you that you can do this, because no mother, no woman can be stopped when she sets out on a mission. Absolutely not. Will not happen. I guarantee you that. So that's kind of my spiel-ish. And
I think that was awesome. That was just so awesome and inspiring. The question I have for you is, and I don't know, guys, if you have any questions, unmute yourself and ask away. But because you brought up too, I think a lot of times as Beachbody coaches, there's a lot of Beachbody coaches out there. And the key to our business is exactly what you said, of sharing. We try to share, our lives, because obviously Facebook and Instagram, it's a reality show. It's our own reality show. But I think a lot of people just getting over that fear of being raw. And I think when I told you yesterday on the phone, I wrote a post last week about my 3-year-old crying, and I let her cry it out. And I said I like had a breakdown, like screaming at the kids and everything. And I had a family member call me the next day saying like, you shouldn't put that on Facebook, you know, blah, 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 blah. I think a lot of times as coaches though, and I guess it's a mom thing too, getting over that fear of being real on social media and raw and being who you are. And it could be even screwing up and just having a friggin' cake, or like, you know, showing people you're eating a big fat pizza when we're supposed to be eating healthy, you know? So how did you get over those? And maybe you still have butterflies before you post things. I don't know.
Yeah, my dad got really upset when I talked about underpants one time in a blog. I wrote a post about wearing granny panties because I believe in full coverage and comfort. And I was on the front page of the Huffington Post, and my father was very upset that I would talk about such awful things to such a public arena. They're big churchgoers, which I have no problem with that. I fully believe in God, but I also don't think God cares about my choice of underpants. So I don't think he was particularly off put by the situation, but I had to make a decision. And I had to kind of say, it's all or nothing now. If I'm going to be honest with these people, I have to tell them everything, because being a mom is very raw and very real. We hide it well, and we smile and we say, I'm fine. I wasn't fine. So I had to make a decision that I was going to be honest with where I was. I would live stream, I still do, with the closet door locked, with a gallon of ice cream in my lap, and I would just be like eating it with a fork, because you know they've lost every spoon in the house, and it's like you can't find a freaking spoon. Your kids have stolen them, taking them to lunch in their snack pack puddings and thrown them out. And I had to decide that I was going to fully commit to that. It's not easy. The hate mail that I get is pretty fierce and pretty awful. 99% men, which tells you something else, but it's a message. It tells a very specific story, because I feel that because I'm outspoken and I'm independent and I'm loud, I think that really is off-putting to some men. But you have to just decide. So here's the thing. You're doing the same thing that I'm doing, right? You really are. You are selling yourself and the service that you provide. My service is entertainment. Your service is Beachbody. You have to be able to get people to really relate to you and understand and say, I want to try this because I like you, and I think you're telling me the truth, and you're trying to offer something to me that's good for me. I sat in front of, I don't know what our audience was last week on Mimosa Monday, 3,000, 4,000 live viewers in a stream talking about Santa boxes and why you should buy a Santa box. I liked the Santa boxes. I thought they were an adorable concept. I like monthly box subscriptions. These people told me that they wanted me to kind of push their product. They actually wanted me to shoot a video, which I didn't want to do. So I was like, let me unbox it. I'll talk about why I like it, because my kids every year for the past, I don't know how many years, we all buy matching pajamas for Christmas Eve. It's just a thing we've done. Well, this company was like, let me give you your matching. They saw a post I wrote about the matching pajamas. They said, if I give you matching pajamas, would you promote this product? And I was like, yeah, let me take a look at it. I get the box in. I'm like, oh, this is super cute. I would totally get behind this. I like you. You're small business owners. It's a husband and a wife team. I was like, yeah, let me sell you some Santa boxes. I started that on Mimosa Monday. They called me after the live stream. They had so many orders, they couldn't possibly fulfill them that night. They were like up until 2, 3 a.m. Orders kept rolling in Tuesday. Orders kept rolling in Wednesday. I went on and I talked about it again Wednesday night on Wednesday. Orders rolled in through Thursday, Friday. They sent me wine baskets and boxes of gifts because I sold so much of their crap. And the reason is I believed in the product I had in my hand. I thought it was a good buy. It was at the right price point for me, my followers. And I was like, this is really cool stuff. I will sit with my kids on Christmas Eve, open this box, do the coloring crafts, and enjoy some time. And I didn't have to come up with it. I didn't have to wrap it. I didn't have to go anywhere to purchase it. It showed up on my door. That's why I liked it. It was convenient. And they sold me so I could sell people on it. So you're not doing really anything different than the stuff that I do, but you have to figure out how to convey that message so that the people that you're selling your information, your products, and your stuff to fully believe in what you do. If that's being 100% raw and relatable and posting about your day, I say do that. You may offend a family member. You should have seen my mother-in-law's head explode when I started doing this. The woman's head hit the friggin' back wall when she saw the stuff I was posting about her with my family. Oh, I had a knockdown drag out with my parents on Thanksgiving. Let me tell you what. But here's the thing. I had to make a decision. I had to be okay with that. So I served up a nice dish of, I don't care what you think. I don't care what you think. I don't care what you think, because this is my baby and it's none of your business. So I said, if you don't like it, you can zip it. You don't have to tell me. You don't even have to say you're proud. You can just be quiet. Be silent, because this is my business, not your business. Now, when you post it publicly to social media, you are opening yourself up to everybody who wants to judge and whatever. You have to be okay with that. But that doesn't mean you have to engage in it or respond to it. I wouldn't. I used to go back and forth with them all day long. Oh yeah? That's what you think? Meh, meh, meh. I've realized now that makes no difference. That just gets me angry and riled up. So I just say, when somebody tells me they want to smash me in the face with a frying pan because they say these things, I say, thank you so much for coming to my page and sharing that with me. I hope you have a really great day. Then they say something awful and I say, thank you so much. You know, somebody said something nasty about my teeth or whatever, and I'm like, I take dental hygiene very seriously, and I appreciate the fact that you noticed that I have teeth. And so it's like, and that's it. And you're done. Because social media brings out some crazies, but it's the biggest, best marketing tool we have, because we can get people all over the damn planet. Somebody took a picture of my book on their coffee table in France. I just shipped out 2 to Australia and Africa and someplace else. Canada loves me. Love the Canadians, man. I can't wait to go to Canada. I love the Canadians. So it does, I mean, we have such a massive, here's the other thing. There's so much business and money to go around. Don't be discouraged. The interweb is ginormous, and there's tons of money out there to be had. Millennial moms spend $13,000 a year per child in their household. So if you can figure out how to get them to give you some of the money that they're making and spending, you're set. The market is right there in front of you. You just have to have something that they want and need, and you have to be able to convey why that's a good idea. I use humor. That's my thing. I can't cook. I'm an awful housekeeper. Okay. My husband, it's a very, very sad state of affairs. There are certain things I'm good at. Betty Crocker housemaker, not. But you just have to realize, what can you shovel? What can you get done today? The rest of it's going to have to wait till tomorrow. And what is your catalyst? What do you have that somebody else doesn't have that you can use in your toolbox? What do you have? You have to have something. We're all gifted. We're all gifted, I promise you, with something. So you just have to figure out what's your voice telling you, what do you have, and how do you promote that via the largest thing we have on the planet, the interweb. And it will connect. It won't be easy, and you'll cry a lot, and you'll fight with your spouse. But if you work hard enough, I know that sounds super corny and cheesy, but I promise you that part's true. Like, it will gel.
I have a question. You said you didn't have any business background before you started doing this. Have you gained any since you started this and gained a following and now have all these opportunities in front of you?
Well, I had to learn the hard way on this whole business thing, because I do not have any business sense. With my next book, I've already started planning, and that's how not to run a business, by figuring out everything to do wrong first, because that's what I've done. So I'm actually going to take all of those really great charts and graphs with a business book, and I'm going to erase it all and fill it in with how I did it and how not to do it. Like, not even kidding. My next book is actually going to be on how not to run a business. I sat here with 820 some odd books and screwed up so many labels and packing slips, and because they're autographed, so you can't put the wrong label on the wrong book, and crying, writhing in the corner. Ugh! It was awful. Awful. Not sleeping for 5 days straight trying to get these things shipped and packed. Terrible. So I had to learn on the fly. Okay, how do we do this now? I did a lot of Googling and YouTubing and watching videos. A lot of my husband telling me, I need you to just listen and do what I tell you to do. He passes me notes while I'm live streaming. You forgot this, you forgot that. Support is very important. He was not on board with this up until I think he realized that there was potential to have a revenue stream come in. He was not on board.
No. Mother's Day when I heard your message.
He says Mother's Day he heard my message. But he eventually, I said to him, we had a come to Jesus meeting, and I said, I will be doing this. Do you want to join me? Because if you do, I think we could be very good at this together, because he is a very smart man. He was going back to school to be a physicist. I mean, he understands numbers and other made up stuff like science. I understand content and what how a mom thinks and what a mom needs, right? So know your target audience. Google the hell out of whatever it is you're trying to figure out, YouTube videos, whatever, because you can find the answer. There are enough people out there that have already done this and screwed up so royally, and they're telling you how to do it the right way. Use people inside of your network and ask the questions. The only stupid question is the one you don't ask. I promise you that. I used to beg people for help. Nobody wanted to help. You think there are enough Beachbody coaches out there? You should see how many damn mom bloggers there are. There are freaking millions of mom bloggers all going after the same thing. What they don't realize is the size of the pie is massive. There's plenty to go around, but nobody wants to help the other one. Get away, get away, get away. So it's like, no. When somebody asks me about my story or how I did something, I tell them, how did you get into the Huffington Post? I Googled Huffington Post editors. I found every single email for a Huffington Post editor. If they hadn't worked there in 10 years, I found their email, I emailed them, found them at another company, emailed that company, found them somewhere else, and then sent them my story. That's the only reason I got published. Nobody thought I was so awesome. I stalked people online to get their email addresses. I tweeted at them. I sent Facebook messages. I Instagrammed them. I hashtagged crap. I went insane because I needed to find someone to listen to me. Nobody listened to me. My kids don't listen. My husband doesn't listen. The dog shits on my floor. No one listens to me. So I had to stalk people until they said, oh, she's kind of funny. Let's give her a go. Well, mind you, June, they published me. I had like 70 published articles in like 3-4 months, because once I got in, they kept publishing and publishing and publishing. What is this word? Conscious? Oh, jeez. Yes, that's a good point. Be conscious about the way you set up your business. I ignored mission, vision, and values for the first year and a half.
2 years.
Year and a half. Maybe 2 years. I didn't think a mission statement was important. I was like, I know what I want to do. I didn't. My mission had actually shifted from when I first started this to where it is now, which is that of empowerment and trying to move forward. At first, I just wanted a community because I needed to feel like I wasn't the only crazy person out there. Then I realized what I wanted to do with that community was move them forward and empower them. How I do that? Once again, my catalyst, humor. So what I do is I've basically become a social media influencer, if you will, and I've moved that community, and I'm trying to get women to understand, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. Here's why. I did it. If I did it, anybody can do it. There is nothing so special about me that you don't have.
Set your values and stick to them.
Yeah, you got to set them. You got to set your values and your mission and get that stuff written down. I didn't write a full mission statement until I wrote the book. He wanted to kill me but I didn't physically finish writing it out until the book. And that was a big deal for me because now it had been written down and now I had to say, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. But it was, and it's in a, like physically in a book that thousands of people now have in their hands. Like, but I didn't want it to be real because I wanted to be able to say, no, that's not what I wanted to do. But I had to write it down and I put it down in print and now it's like solidified and I've run with it. And that has gone crazy in my brain since then because now I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to do. But I held it quiet because I was so worried I wasn't going to be able to accomplish it that I didn't want to say it out loud, right? Because that you're scared, you're nervous, you're vulnerable. But here's the thing. If I don't accomplish it today, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll get to it. I'll keep at it. And if I fail tomorrow, I'm going to try again on Thursday. And at some point, it will happen because it's not if, it's when. It really is. You'll get to it. You'll do it. You just got to keep trying.
Yeah, I think we have I guess you use the word mission statement and we typically use our why. We use the word RY. And I love how you state that it changes because that's the thing. A lot of people don't realize that it can change even in 6 months. So many things can change and change direction and everything so easily. So I'm so glad that you pointed that out. The biggest thing I think too is just the confidence in women. I see a lot of coaches drop off just due to it's their belief in themselves, and it saddens me. Like when I love hearing you because it's just so empowering. It is so empowering. And it's so like, I love your energy and it gets me going. Cause I think so many women, and I've experienced this with some coaches on my team, that they just all of a sudden they shut down and they just think, I can't do it. And like you said, I'm just supposed to be there just for my kids. Like I've got to put all my focus in my kids. And I hate that because I'm like, your kids are important, but so like you say, so are you. So,
well, it's not, and it doesn't have to be all or nothing. And I think some women feel like they're going to be judged if it is. And it's like, no, first of all, your kids have to learn to be independent. Okay. If my child is bored, I have 37 things that you can do that do include cleaning, picking up your room, laundry, and other items that you don't want to do. So do not tell me you are bored. You are not bored. You are annoying me. Go find something to do. Whatever that is. I don't care. There's a little photo bomber. So it's important that they understand as well that is not my 24/7 job to entertain you. Okay, that is not my job. Read a book. There's plenty of them out there. Build something. I don't care. But that's not my sole purpose in life. Okay, it is definitely my job to take care of you, but I don't have to entertain you all the time. So I think you have to, my husband wrote it down and I can actually text it to you if you've not seen it. Simon Sinek, Sinek. He's the TED Talk guy. I sat and watched that and figured out, okay, I get it now. This is my, and this is my why. And it looks like you guys have seen that one. That was big for me because at first I really was just like, I just want to be a writer. Well, that was the start of it. But when I put together the writing and the video and my actual mission, that's what shot me off. And I said, no, this is so much bigger than me. This is way bigger than me. I'm a tiny little piece in the puzzle of all of this because my story is your story, is your story, is your story. And we have to figure out that it's okay to be okay with that. Like there is a confidence issue there. I agree with that. And you have to be able to say, I'm important enough to take care of and have goals and dreams and be okay to go after that. And you are. But you have to decide that. Nobody else can decide that for you. I promise you, you're enough of a mom and a wife and a worker and all of these other things. Make sure to figure out what your why is and what you need to do. And you're not a bad mom if that doesn't just say kids in the middle of that circle or husband Or what did my husband say at one point? Be submissive. And I'm like, oh, okay. That's not what's completely in that little Y circle. There's a lot of me in there. And I kept that quiet for many, many, many years. And it made him insane when I decided to come out of that space, because he was nervous that I was going to leave. I was going to hightail it. I was going to divorce him and, I don't know, go to Mexico, leave him with the kids. I don't know what he thought, but he did not think I was hanging around. And I was like, this has nothing to do with you. I'm allowed to feel this way. And I think a lot of women, their husbands say, no, no, no. And it's like, oh, yes, yes, yes. And you can join me. Like, it's cool. But you can't tell me no. We have to figure this out together. And he's sitting right next to me, working right alongside of me now. But it was there was a big struggle. It wasn't, if you read the book, you'll see there were some freaking fireworks. It wasn't pleasant all the time.
Well, props to him. We got to give him a round of applause. Yay!
Good man. He came around.
Because a lot of times that does not happen, but that's awesome.
No, and that's another reason that I firmly believe in divorce rate being so high, because women and men can't seem to get on the same page with what's an acceptable job or whatever for a woman. And it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, you're allowed to go out and do all of these things and get accolades. And if you push really hard, you're just a really good businessman. If I go out there and give somebody a piece of my mind, I'm a nasty word. I can't, you're the B word. You're this, you're that. No. Had you said the same thing that I did, you would have been spot on, and kudos to you for standing up. I'm just an a-hole if I say that, and it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. No, I'm not playing that game. So there have been plenty of meetings where I've gotten this look like, I can't believe she said that. And it's like, why? Because I'm a woman? Like, I don't know. My pear might be bigger than yours. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, dude, so I don't have a problem with that. But I know how some women would definitely not feel comfortable in that situation. So don't put yourself in that situation, but don't ever let somebody step over you, because confidence is, like you're saying, confidence is very important. You need to know that you're the best at that job, whatever that is. This is the first time in my life that I have said with 100% confidence, I know what I'm doing. I might not know all of the business points, but in terms of social media and what my job is, I know what I'm doing and I'm good at it. And I'm proud of that. And you can try to rain down pee on my parade all you want, but I work so hard that when I go to bed at night, I may only sleep 3 hours, but I've earned every minute of those 3 hours. I haven't watched TV in months. I miss TV. I have not seen a single episode of this season's Grey's Anatomy. Do you know how painful that is for me? I gotta work, man. It sucks sometimes, but that's what we're going for, and at some point I'll watch TV again. And at some point I'll sleep for more than 3 hours again. But that's what it takes to build a successful business. It takes a lot of that. When I first started this and I was tired, my husband was like, did you think this was going to be like fun and easy? Because then everybody would do it. And I was like, oh, damn, you're right. I guess this is going to kind of suck for a while. But I'm flying out to LA next week and I'm going to be filming on the Jim Henson studio lot with Muppets or something. Great, I can't wait to go dance with the Muppets or whomever I'm going to see, what it's like. But I didn't have that opportunity 6 months ago, but I worked really, really hard and I'm proud of that. So when somebody's like, oh, she's going to change now that somebody's paying her. And it's like, what's going to change? My bills will be paid on time. That's what will change. I will actually get to pay my bills without the red notice coming in the mail. That doesn't mean that I have to change. I'm old enough to know what I appreciate and what that means. I just now get to pay all of the bills in 1 month. Like, yay! There's still no money left over, but maybe soon. Maybe soon that would be nice. But it's like, don't listen to what people say about that. Like, you be proud of what you've accomplished and what you're doing, because you worked really hard to get there. So don't let them piss on your parade. Like, it's awesome. Like, it's awesome that happened. So no, don't take it.
Meredith, I can't even, this is great. This is awesome. And we had a couple people in the comments just saying that you're awesome. You're great to listen to. They said, yes, that you're brilliant. I love it. They all said, seriously, the struggle is real. I think Stacy was talking about marriage, going through it with marriage. And then Lisa said, congrats on all your success. And Stacy said, congrats on your success as well. And seriously, this was just, I think this is being recorded, so other people that weren't able to listen tonight will be listening to on other team pages and stuff like that. And so we'll share this with you as well. And and Beth, our CEO is Carl Deichler. And he said, you know what, maybe we should send it to him, you guys. He said that you need to speak at our coach summit in New Orleans next year, because we have a big coach summit that's about 3 or 4 days long, and we have speakers from all over. And they had Simon Sinek a couple years ago.
I'm telling you, the guy's spot on, and he knows what he's talking about. And he was really a big it was a turning point for me when my husband physically made me sit down to watch that, because I was like, I don't want to watch a TED Talk, and he was like, listen to this man. Like, you need to shut up and listen. And I did, and I was like, oh, holy crap, that makes total sense. But send it on over. I want to come hang out with you guys.
Because Beachbody is really into personal development. That's why I also want to encourage everyone to read your book. Like I said, her book is on Amazon, you guys, because it, I know it's not directly, Stacy goes, in my car already. Because it does, it's personal development. I mean, even we listen to podcasts and everything, and you have to have a whole gamut of mommyhood and business related things. And yes, Lisa, holiday gifts. Yes.
Well, the great thing about it is no matter what we're doing, we really are women, wives, moms first and foremost. That's what we're doing, but everything else stems from that. I mean, it's all rolled up in one. And it's just, it gets fuzzy sometimes, and we have to remember what parts and pieces kind of go where. And that's the whole, when I talked about picking your battles and scooping your poop. And it's funny that, I chose scoop your poop so it could be visual, and so you could really understand, like, it's physical, it's metaphorical, it's actual literal poop, whether it's from your animals or your kids or whatever. Like, as moms, we are doing that. We are scooping that every day, and it's in your work life, your home life, your personal life, whatever. But you have to continue to move forward, because really, is going backwards an option? No, because you're going to have to keep moving forward anyway. So it's like, I did a lot of 1 step forward, 2 step back for a long time. For a full year and a half, there was a ton of that. But I realized that if I was going to be serious, I had to get organized and motivated and do the things I didn't want to do. The mission, the vision, the goal, the statement, the why. Those are so powerful and important to what we're doing. It has to be done. It's hard and gritty and awful, and we don't want to put it down on paper because we don't want to fail.
No.
You're gonna fail. It's gonna suck. But guess what? You're gonna get another opportunity to fail again tomorrow. So get ready and and put your big girl pants on, because you might fail tomorrow. I have a million ideas in my head. They're not all gonna be viral videos. I carry around, I literally carry a steno pad with me, and I write crap down, and a lot of them are turds that I thought were funny that fall flat. But it's okay to fail, and you got to keep moving forward, because backwards and standing still is not an option.
Well, I totally agree. Does anybody else have questions for her?
Well, I just want to say thank you so much, Meredith, for taking the time to talk to us. And I'm sure everybody here on the call, you've already gained all these followers. So thank you.
I believe me, I when I saw Sherry's message, I was like, is she trying to sell me some Beachbody stuff? What's going on here? And so I'm looking at her, because I always Google, and like look at people first. And then I'm like, she wants me to talk? All right, let me see what she wants me to talk about. And then I'm looking through it again, and we had our phone call. And I thought you were so funny, because you voice texted into the Messenger app. and I'm listening to you, and I'm like, this lady is serious. She didn't even type this message down. So I better call her back because she is serious. So I love to do this kind of stuff because, like I said, there is no secret sauce. The secret sauce is simply hard work. And anybody that won't talk to you, they're not worth your time. Don't call them back. Don't, forget it, move on to the next thing. Because, I mean, it's, you guys, when I tell people I'm not being paid for something and I'm just selling this because it's something I like or believe in, that's really the truth. Nobody paid me for it. I thought it was a good product. I pushed it or talked about it because I enjoyed it or liked it. I'll tell you when I've got millions of dollars rolling around in the bank account because somebody thought that this was such a great idea and they wanted to pay me for it. Not happened yet. So what was I to gain with, with coming in and talking to you guys or doing these other things? Just meeting new people and talking about something I'm completely 110% passionate about. And that's, if you feel that way about this business, you will succeed and be super profitable because it's at your core and you're passionate about it. If you are not, what did the guy tell me when I first started? If you start a blog to make money, you will fail. I had started a blog to make money. I failed because I wasn't passionate about my purpose at that moment in time. Once I figured out my why, I started seeing success. Mm-hmm. But I started it because I just wanted to get out of the job I was in and move to doing something I enjoyed, which was writing. But it wasn't my why. I had to find my why. Once I found my why, I was like, damn, I can do this all day long. I quit my job. I have worked harder in the past 2 months than I have in my entire life, but I haven't felt like I've worked a day. Mm-hmm. That's been the most, that's been way better than any money coming in. I don't dread getting up in the morning and doing what I'm doing. If you have that type of passion, man, you're golden. It doesn't even matter if you have enough money to buy a boat, which somebody wants. It's about, yeah, that's right. Yeah, deserves. I got something you deserve. It's about feeling that fire that I was missing for so long and I couldn't figure it out. I'm a better mom. I'm a better wife. And I'm much better employee now that I like my job. I mean, I was adequate, but that was not my thing, okay? And so that's what I'm saying is that's what you have to find. And I always tell people, if you're blogging because you think it's the next get rich, because I get people that ask me all the time, oh, you get paid for things? How did you do that? And it's like, no. You can't start this because you think that there's some golden paycheck. I got paid in Hot Pockets, lady. And underpants. I'm wearing them right now, as a matter of fact. Fruit of the Loom paid me in underpants. They're great underwear, but that's not what I wanted. I wanted money. And now I'm just really happy that I got underpants because I wear them all the time. I got like 6 packs. So as long as I stay a size 6, I have underpants for like 3 years, which is way better than the money they would have given me. I'd have spent that money at one meal at the drive-thru. Now I have underpants for years. See how great that is? You think it's a failure. Unbelievable success. I'm just saying,
I swear you're so funny.
Who doesn't love free underpants?
I love it. Oh, guys, you got to go to her like page too. That's inappropriate. And you got to hop on her live, support her, hop on. She's got great information and stuff. And I know that we're getting up to 10:15. So
I'm sorry. I run long. Long-winded.
No. I love it. I just don't want to take up your time either and stuff. So last call if there's any questions for her. Anybody, any thoughts?
Just thanks again, Meredith.
Yes.
It was tons of fun. Super, super great. Tell your CEO to bring me out to Nolans because I've never been. Okay. I want to come. Chitty chatty pitty patty. But seriously, you guys, I'm more than happy to offer any help that I can. Because I really believe in what I do. And I believe that as mompreneurs, you guys have every edge to be everything to be successful. You really do. You can do it.
Thank you so much. And thank you to your husband too, hanging out with us as well tonight. So we appreciate it so much. And we are going to be watching you and where your journey's going to go. So congrats on all your success. And you got to keep us updated on what happens next week too in LA.
I will for sure. And, you know, anytime you need me, you've got my number now. So if you want to get in touch with me.
I know. I've got a personal number now, guys.
You shoot me a text if you need anything at all. The thing is glued to me as a result of the job. So I have it all the time. But anything you guys need, I'm more than happy to help.
Thank you so much. And you guys have a great, great night.
You too.
Bye, Meredith. Bye, guys.
Bye.